afternoon we're here. Normally we do these interviews out fresco outdoors, Union Square Park, but because of this slightly inclement weather, we're in here. So for New Millennium Oral History Archives, for this edition of New Millennium Oral History Archives in the World, we have Brother Shep, who's former shepherd. You say Brother Shep. We have the amazing Brother Shep with us here for this edition, Friday, 28 May 2021. Brother Shep, we're going to do a brief sort of overview, given the exigencies of time. And we thought we were able to start this earlier, but we'll do 2 more editions with you. But we want to go over, just going to sort of give kind of prefatory remarks about the arc of your life and your career. Basically, growing up in New York, going to grammar school, secondary school, university, went to college here in New York, and culminating at that youthful period with the distribution manager of the Black Panther newspaper. And you were one of the younger members. Brother Tariq the other day. Tariq has you by number because everybody has you by number. Right? So you came into the Panthers at the tail end of the Black Panther Party's history. 73?
Yeah, 73.
Okay.
Yeah, actually it was more or less in the middle of it, so to speak.
In the middle.
But just really quickly, I'm Brother Shep.
Right.
All right. Siddiqui, Brother Shep, Alok Balak.
That's right.
Slave name is Shepherd McDaniel.
Or colonized name.
Yeah. Either way, or government
We
name.
all have the government name. So slave name, government name,
colonized name.
Yeah, unbelievable. Right.
Okay, but Shepherd, I still keep that while I'm getting into it. So, I was born here in New York, Boogie Down Bronx, 1954. So I joined the Panther Party when I was 19. And yeah, you're sort of right, I was old actually at 19. Because the average age of Panthers was 17.
Oh, okay.
17 was the average age.
Well, you were still young. I mean, 19.
Well, when you have people like Mumia, Jamal, who's actually the same age I am. Yes, he is. We both born in 1954.
Both of you are going to be 67, right? Because Tariq sent a happy birthday, wrote a happy birthday greeting to Brother
Yeah, and there's a number of Panthers. The chair of Jericho movement, Jihad Mehmet, he's also 1954. Shanti, 1954. Jamal Joseph, 1954.
Is Jamal Joseph?
We were all the same age, just that they joined when they were 14 and 15.
Wow, that's
So they came in, they weren't supposed to be in, but they got in.
And with, I mean, now we could talk about that being impressive, the fact that Mumia had a file opened on him by the FBI at the age of 14.
Correct.
People can think it's impressive, and it is. That means he was conscious and so involved in community empowerment and much else. I mean, who at 14 you could think of today would be involved with catch the eye of the policing authorities, right? So Mumia had a file open. This file was open. They started a file at the age of 14 in Philadelphia.
What you have to look at that time period. I get this a lot of times when I do lectures, especially with younger people, when they ask what's the difference between what's going on now and back then. The Vietnam War was going on when we were young. And I actually went to my first protest coming out of junior high school. The high school students came and got us and said, y'all need to get out, all you seniors in junior high, you can come join this march. Because at 17, you can get drafted. Go into the service.
So you were still within the age of conscription or the draft.
Exactly. You know,
right,
so
because the draft continued until what, 72?
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes.
The shooting war in Vietnam ended in 73, the war officially in 75. So you were right there in the crosshairs of all that.
Yeah, I mean the draft is still actually around, but actually scooping us up is different.
Oh, well,
so in any case, what they did was they came and they said they can come get you next. And at 17, the thing about it is that it was disenfranchisement.
Right.
Because we couldn't vote till you're 21.
Right.
So we actually had no say about being in a
21,
war, or not being in a war, or fighting in a war.
Right.
So the only thing we could do was protest. So I left school, got in that protest, my first one.
Which secondary school, which high school did you go to?
High school, I started out in DeWitt Clinton.
DeWitt was all male.
Yeah, at that time it was all boys school.
The late great James Baldwin, I think, went to DeWitt.
Oh yeah.
Lots of people went to DeWitt. Great writer, Jimmy Baldwin. Right. So you
and I graduated from Evander Childs.
Another school.
Yeah, it was closer to my house. It was hard getting to Clinton in the morning. Hardly ever made my first 2 periods because the bus that went to Clinton passed by Vanda. It was always packed, so you could never get there in time.
Well, you're in New York, and you know about the transportation issues. I know that one held you up today.
But we all went to Clinton to the sports school. You know, it always a place where we said, we ain't going to Vanda, we're going to Clinton. So if you didn't go to a specialized high school, those were the 2 choices at that time. There was no Lehman and Truman.
I've joked with you that we could probably do about 300 hours with you. We couldn't even do it all in a year. You know, this is sort of just a kind of taste. So
Well, in that era, again, during that time, that was going on. The struggle in South Africa was going on. We actually alluded to this earlier. The gang wars were happening in the Bronx where I lived at, with the white gangs in that area. And so all this was going on, which was really related to organizing. You know, whether it was, you know, in support of South Africa, you know, on the apartheid or war, and then just the basic things, you know, police brutality,
it's a housing,
the Bronx was burning, you know, all those things were going on at the same time.
Yeah, but you know, when people, I'm sure you don't let people talk about the Bronx like that. I went to private school in the Bronx. The Bronx is a very lively place, and a very, you know, engaged.
Oh yeah.
Very excited. A lot of things going on.
I mean, I had people that came. We did a play called Diary of Black Men, and we actually did the stage work. A lot of actors were from Texas, so they stayed at my house. People stayed at my house to live. This was in the late 90s. Okay. But we did the security and stuff. We ended up doing stage work. But they stayed. Simpson stayed at my house. And they were like, "There's trees here. There's houses here. This is the Bronx." But they were scared to come at first. You know? So we took them on and told them on that right. We showed them Riverdale. We showed them City Island, Washington Beach, and they were like, "We didn't know all this was in the Bronx."
I want to just sort of, just again go over the arc, you know, of your life. You're still living. You're going to live for a long, long time. So you did grammar school. You did secondary school, high school. You went to college, and in between that, you were part of a street tribe. We call them street tribes, a street organization. Or it's
that was in high school.
Gangs.
That was in high school.
Which street tribe were you part of?
Okay. We were part of, I was part of what was called the Uptown Organization.
It sounds like a mob.
It does,
like
but
was it really called the Uptown Organization?
Uptown Organization, yes.
But were you a team when you were involved in this?
Where it was, if you lived in Uptown in the Bronx, it was mainly you had groups that came out of projects. You had Edenwald Projects, and they had their crew. Gun Hill Projects had their crew. Edenwald, yeah. Gun Hill Projects, Boston Seacorp, Co-op City, I mentioned Eastchester. No, most of the people in Co-op lived in Section 5. That's where the blacks and brown people got moved to. So if you moved to Co-op City, they sent you there, which is really the projects.
When you think of Co-op City, you think of, you know, just kind of like people with trade union jobs.
A lot of people sold their homes and moved there because they got tired of dealing with mortgage and all those type of things. Like people on my block, you know, some of their parents, they moved.
But what area did you grow up in the Bronx?
216 and between Boston Road and Gun Hill Road.
Was that the end of the L?
No, not quite. I was right. My house was actually right in the middle of the projects I just mentioned.
But remember the L, which came down in 1973?
Talking about the number 2. Talking about the 2 church. Oh, you talking about the
L
on 3rd Avenue?
Yeah.
I was north of that. The L stopped at Gun Hill Road.
Right, that was the last stop.
Yeah. Well, I'm in 260. That's actually like 210, 211. Right. So you go up about 6 more blocks.
Just straight
right.
across.
And White Plains Road runs north to south.
So you grew up around Gun Hill. Your parents are African American. They're from here.
Yeah, they're from here.
Yeah. Okay. So how did they take to your activities?
Well, back then I played sports.
So you did.
I played sports. I went to school. I did what I was supposed to do. I had a little part-time job at Alexander's.
So
I had a car.
that's the bushy. It's sort of
You can say that, yeah. which helped me a lot in terms of if I saw a girl wanted to talk to me, I was a real good person to present to the parents.
you had a job.
Part time,
You had to have a job.
It was a department store, but it was something.
Yeah, of course, it's a job.
But the whole thing about all of that was, I mentioned them with different projects. They were always in competition. So when the white gangs decided to come into our neighborhood and attack us, we joined forces together.
When we say white gangs, we mean the Irish.
Yeah, you had
the Italian American, the Golden Guineas.
you had the Golden Guineas, you had the white ministers.
Who were the white ministers? Who made up the white ministers?
They didn't.
But
They
then
made
was
up
it
their
Irish
name.
or
It was a combination of Albanian, some Italian. Yeah. Town Park where they had their crews like combined in that. And you always had in Norwood area. That's where most of the Irish came.
the Norwood?
Yeah.
Near the end of what, the two line? Or
It's
near
actually near what's now Van Cortlandt Park,
okay.
where Montefiore Hospital is at. That
But you know, it's interesting. All of those other people are really older than you, though. Would I be correct in saying that? We interviewed one of the editions that we did for oral history was with B. What's his name? Yeah, all right. I thought there was a mention of something. But he was with the Black Spades. About 34 years.
The
ago.
Spades started exactly when the Panther Party came. Panther Party came to New York in 1969. That's when the Panther Party started in New York.
But there was
Let me finish.
Okay.
The Black Spades started in 1969.
In 69 too.
69. Now I grew up with the Spades. I never joined the Spades. Okay. And then when I joined the Panther Party at that point, Spades were my high school. After we had the war, and we won the war against the white gangs, which is a whole story within itself.
I want to get into all of that.
But when we won that war,
Succeeding.
Spades then began to take over all the other areas, and eventually they became the largest street organization in the city, really. But definitely in the Bronx.
We can get into this in the other interviews that we do with you.
But I grew up with all of them. I went to school, junior high school with
You know
Spades.
Honeybee?
Not that closely, no.
Yeah, he was in
The Spades in my neighborhood were the 22nd Division. That was Dynamite. There's a film coming out, by the way.
about the Spades.
Yes.
Are you involved as a consultant?
No, I didn't consult, but I'm gonna be there. I got an invitation. I would definitely.
Who's doing it?
I can get you that information. It's gonna be at Magic Johnson Theater. Yeah.
So, I just wanted to...
It's called The Black Spades.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Spades are legendary. I wanted you to just correct something for us. The understanding is that the first iteration of the Panther wasn't even in Oakland. It was in New York in 1666, August. You know, brother.
Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Was it August?
That came out of
'66?
Smith.
That's right.
Okay, basically from the Loudoun County
That's right.
Panthers that were there with Stokely Carmichael and A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
Right. So, and actually, Queen Mother War had a lot to do with that too.
Yeah.
There was a big meeting that took place in New York.
And you know the tall broadcaster. Tall broadcaster. About 6'8".
I know exactly.
Harvey stuff.
If you had to said that, I would remember the immediately.
But there was a group of people who were involved with that, who brought that meeting
Oh, yeah.
in the summer.
Eddie Ellis was part of that.
66. And then 2 months later, the Panthers were founded.
Well, that's no. Even you even said they borrowed that symbol from the Loudoun County.
I'm talking about this first iteration.
That's what I'm saying. They got the symbol from that group.
In New York.
Well, it wasn't New York. New York was a chapter of
No, but what I'm saying is
their offices on Fifth Avenue. I can read. I got all the documents.
No, you're absolutely right. We know in the Loudoun County that they were.
No, I'm saying for New York. They had an office on Fifth Avenue.
Well, there was
in
no
Harlem.
office. It just lasted a couple of months. They had a meeting in August. I went to a gathering.
They had an office in Harlem.
I lived around the corner from the office.
Oh, okay.
I lived on 100. I grew up, and I remind you of that. But
Okay.
123rd between 1907. Okay, we came in from that 66. So that office, the Panthers office,
Fifth Avenue.
and I have the picture because you had
Okay.
you and I was on 7th Avenue. there was a Panther office on 7th Avenue on what Brother DeRupa also talked
That was
about.
our office.
That's the
I'm not
thing.
talking about that. I'm talking about the ones before the Huey Panthers. Snake's office was on
okay,
Fifth
Snake. Yeah,
Avenue.
we was talking about, yeah.
That's what we were talking about.
No, I was talking about just the movement called themselves the Panthers. They didn't call them. They were just it was like one of the first iteration. That's all. And it lasted just for a little bit. It was just a
Yeah,
talk.
but it still has a place in
Yeah,
history.
yeah. But you were talking about the snake thing. We were just talking cross purpose. But I see
Okay.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right. Because the Panthers headquarters was on 120th, 121st,
Oh, I know.
7th Avenue on the west side of the street. I mean, when you talk about the village of Harlem, I know every single nook and cranny.
2630.
Including the number.
We're about
All of that.
to. We're gonna have that street name, Black Panther Way. We're working on that right now.
So, when we get into these successive editions and tapings that we do with you, as we come to a close here, can you? We haven't even come to the thing that completely engulfs you, which is the work involving the Black Panther prisoners, which is just a dynamic effort that you and others have spearheaded about. But tell us about some of the other segments we can talk about as we go forward.
Definitely. Yeah, I know it was
we're
done.
rounding this out.
Okay. Hunter College was pivotal, and Professor John Clark, Dr. Ben, Marimba Ali,
Black and Puerto Rican Studies at Hunter
all of
College.
that. Yeah, the Black Student Union was part of that. As a Panther, you had to organize on campus. If you were in school and you were a Panther, so that was done. We talk about all the things that BSU did. We had a prison program. We had a program in Mozambique. We stopped the selling to Schaumburg. We shut down South African play in Bitambi, the Boomerang. They were going to sell. They were going to sell the Schaumburg to West Germany. So we stopped that.
To West Germany.
Yes, West Germany was going to buy the Schaumburg. We did a whole big jazz concert and put that out. We were at the groundbreaking.
So we're going to go right from the 70s to the present.
Now, by profession, I'm a child care worker. So I run group
Is that
homes.
social worker?
You can say that. But the more directly, I work with youth. Group homes, residential centers. I even worked for 4 years on a mobile program called Vision Club, where we travel throughout the country and cover wagons and horses. A herd of 60 animals, 8 covered wagons, 60 kids, and 40 staff, and I ran that.
And then,
We traveled from Pittsburgh to Texas and back, and I did that for 4 years.
and you were there at the founding of hip hop. You were in that.
Yeah.
That facility.
Didn't particularly like it that I was in the jazz.
And then
But they were in the neighborhood, you know, plugging into the light posts, and it's like, hell, it's just music.
and we're going to talk about your involvement with the Zulu Nation and some of the activities, and it's a continuous.
Sure.
It just continues to the present day. As I said, you were just a vital source, and you were there at the revolution.
Because if you look at the years of significance, 69, the Black Spade started, the Black Panther Party came to New York. 73, I joined the Black Panther Party, the Zulu Nation started, coming out of the Black Spade.
And I'm sure people have approached you about writing a monograph, just a book on, let's say, topics on street tribes, the gangs, and political prisoners.
Yeah,
Or you've probably done some consulting.
I have some
Or
stuff
if you
written
have
already.
it, there are things that you're going to be doing. But we want to thank you, Brother Shep, for coming down. And we're doing this introductory, shall we say, conversation.
Right.
And then we're going to have some more. And we want you to bring along some of you. You also produce a number of products, the buttons,
Sure.
which are an incredible.
Matter of fact, I got new copies right now.
We're going to do that. They call that to this interview.
Yeah, like this is Fred Hampton,
Absolutely.
Rainbow Chorus.
That's right. Who's, the day he was assassinated, I think it was also the day that Lombi Brath and I used to was about that John Brown was killed, I think, on the day that Fred was
I believe so.
1859.
I know it was
it the 4th?
I'm not exactly sure the date off the top of my mind, but I know it was in that period.
John Brown's hanging was on the 2nd of December. Chairman Fred was the 4th of December. But we want to say thank you for doing this initial conversation with more to come. Brother Shep, the New Millennium Oral History Archives, on the presenter, Jay Bailey Moore. Thank you.
Okay.